Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Jessica.
To everybody else out there, my name is Jessica Klimesh. I'm editor and proofreader with Jeck Proofreading and Editing. I am also a writer, and I'm also a reader. And I just very recently finished reading Margaret's book, Nerd Traveler, which was a wonderful book. I enjoyed it very much. I'd been to some of the places that she talks about in her book and that you talk about in your book. Get my audience straight here. And I have a couple questions for you, Margaret, about writing.
Okay.
um, First of all, how would you classify what you write?
I write creative nonfiction, and it's usually in the form of essays. And I really like writing about travels. They could be close to home or they could be across the globe, but I enjoy that very much. It just feels natural to me to write about travels, about the journey, about the place itself, a combination of the two. And I noticed in my travels that I do a lot more preparation than other people. I like to read about the art and the music and the literature and the history of a place. I like to learn a little bit of the language so that I can order food, that sort of thing. And I noticed other people don't do that. So I thought, oh, I must be a nerd. So that's where the title of the book came from, Nerd Traveler.
Very cool. Yeah, I noticed that you incorporate a lot of different themes like arts and culture, and it's very interesting as a reader because I learned a lot. It's not like just writing or not like just reading memoir or essays. It's very, very engaging. So I appreciated that. Um, which kind of leads me to my next question is what do you read and how does that influence what you write?
I've been a reader for almost my whole life, ever since I was able to read at all. I've been reading, and I enjoy reading novels. I really do. I like a story well told, so it can be a multifaceted novel or it can be a very elegant, simply told story, as long as it's told well. Um, I love reading nonfiction, and that can be something about music or art or history or memoir, all of that. I love it all. My favorite authors for the novels would be um, Jane Austen and Edith Wharton, and also Elizabeth Gilbert. I pick her out because she writes these multifaceted stories that are just so many levels and so many different stories going on at the same time, so many details. And you know who else does that is Barbara Kingsolver. So I like them for fiction. And then my nonfiction favorites are John McPhee, Paul Theroux, Annie Dillard, Joan Didion, and Susan Orlean. Those would be my top shelf authors right there.
Awesome, lots of good authors there. Um, and uh, as far as your in our conversations that we've had, I understand that you're working on your next project, next collection. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm always writing, so not everything I write is going to go into this next collection. But what I think I'm going to do is a collection of music related essays because once the pandemic hit, I wasn't able to travel. So I've been listening to music and writing about it and thinking about it. And I have written an essay about 1960s bubblegum pop music, and I have one about opera. When the pandemic started, the Met Opera said they were going to play an opera recording every evening on their website for free until the pandemic was over. I don't think they realized, I know I didn't realize that it was going to go on and on and on. I thought, oh, it'll be a month or two. Well, 174 nights in a row, I watched opera recordings and I really enjoyed it and I learned a lot. and it was kind of an immersion opera appreciation program. And I wrote about it as I was doing it. And I think now I have to go back and look at that experience after the fact and kind of change that around. But it's all different kinds of music. I've already published a couple of the jazz essays that are in there. So I'll include those, but all different kinds of music because that's what I listen to, all different kinds.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know in Nerd Traveler you talk about music and different composers, which is really interesting, giving us some contextual background information. And so, yeah, I can see that that would be a natural kind of jumping off point for your next collection. Cool. So my last question is about the publication process. What can you tell us about that?
Well, in my case, it was quite a process. I started like in the traditional way, looking for an agent once the essays of Nerd Traveler were kind of finished. You know, I knew I'd probably have to revise them somewhat, but I could show them. And I looked for an agent online. I went to lots of conferences, and usually they'll have agents that you can talk to. So I would talk to agents there. The agent would be representing the book and pitching it, proposing it to different publishers. Well, anyway, I was getting kind of frustrated because nobody really seemed to get the point of Nerd Traveler. They just didn't like it. It wasn't sexy enough. It wasn't exciting enough. And well, that's my point. It doesn't have to be that, right? It's more thoughtful. So I finally met this agent at a conference, and she just got it right away and we hit it off. And she pitched it to she used to do 5 at a time. She'd go to 5 publishers and get answers from them and then go to 5 more. And she had her own method where she would make contact with them first and say, "Oh, I'm going to send you this, so be looking for it," right? So whatever. But we didn't get any nibbles at all. And then she told me that she was sick and she hated to tell me this because it meant that she had to drop this for now. And I said, "Oh, well, we'll take a break. You know, it's frustrating and I'll think about something else for a little while." But in the meantime, I had been submitting essays to Read Furiously, the publisher in West Trenton, New Jersey. And a few of my essays appeared in their anthologies. And we got to talking, Samantha and Adam and I mentioned that I had a manuscript of travel essays. And they said, "Oh, could we take a look at it?" So I said, "Sure." And they looked at it and they liked it and they're interested. So I said, "Well, I do have an agent. I should probably include her." So I emailed her, and the next day I got a response from her husband. It seemed she had passed away the month before.
Oh,
So I was shocked and sad and just, she was, I thought I hit gold when I signed on with her because she, not only was she an agent, she had been a book publicist
oh,
before that. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, she's going to be so great. Just the ideas that'll come out of her. But okay, so she's gone. So I just went ahead with it without an agent, thinking, well, it's kind of a risk, but kind of not because I knew of this publisher and I knew some people who had published with them. So I thought this is probably a safe bet. And I wasn't sure, do I want to try to go for a big famous publisher or do I want to just go with the local small publisher? And so I went with the local small publisher and I've been very happy. It's been a wonderful experience working with them. We're in contact every week, at least twice, about Nerd Traveler since it came out or since, approaching coming out. So it's just been a really good experience. And they're here tonight. They're in the lobby selling books. So they've just been so supportive and so good and just so thorough helping me bring this book to the world. So it's been a great experience. And I don't know if they're going to be interested in my next book, but I'll certainly let them see it first.
but it all worked out then. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just delighted.
Well, awesome. Thank you for answering my questions. This was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Jessica. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Good night.
Good night.